Hi, Gary Leonard here. A few days ago, I don't even know what the date is today. It's near the end of November, near the end of deer hunting season. But there was a little video shot of a guy doing some squats on Facebook, and I watch this stuff and I like to look at comments. And if it was serious, if they were actually 45-pound plates, he was doing close to 600 pounds, 555, something around that in that vicinity. Somebody got the bright idea of making 25-pound plates look like 45-pound plates, so it might have been less. At any rate, you know, this guy, he was pretty thin, kind of tall and gangly. When he was doing his squats, it was kind of hard to call them squats, but he had the weight on his shoulders, and he was probably moving the weight 4 to 6 inches. Okay, and I mean that was it. He wasn't a big muscular guy. I mean, he had pretty thin legs and pretty thin lower legs. But the comments were pretty, almost vicious about, you know, the guy's a moron and this kind of stuff. There are 3 levels of cheating. And first you kind of have to define what cheating is, but we'll get into that in a little bit. There's beginning, intermediate, and advanced. The beginning cheater is doing a movement, not really understanding what it's doing. The intermediate cheater is doing a movement, trying to get as much weight as possible from point A to point B. Kind of like a lot of weightlifters. I mean, and the difference between weightlifting and bodybuilding I'll talk about in just a second. The advanced cheaters are bodybuilders. Okay? The difference being between bodybuilding and weightlifting. Weightlifting is moving X amount of pounds from point A to point B. I mean, it's really more about, that's how you measure your progress, is how much weight, sets, reps, you know, that type of stuff. Bodybuilding is more concerned with working a muscle or a muscle group. Now, bodybuilding combines weightlifting. Weightlifting doesn't always combine bodybuilding. Some weightlifters, some powerlifters use some different exercises, you know, to try and sculpt their body a little bit. But more or less, they are trying to move X amount of pounds from point A to point B. The way that you can change the intensity, increase or decrease the intensity of a workout, and a workout is basically anything from hiking up a mountain to riding a bicycle to working out with weights to CrossFit, any of that stuff. I've got 8 steps, and I'm gonna go through 6 of them real fast, and the last 2 I'm gonna spend a couple of these videos talking about, because they're really what bodybuilding is kind of all about when it comes down to resistive type training. But anytime you talk to somebody about working out, and when somebody asks me, you know, well, if I want bigger muscles, do I do more weight and less reps? And, you know, if I want to get cut, I do more reps and less weight. And I said, well, why don't you get big and cut and do more weight and more reps? And that usually, you know, makes them laugh a little bit. But that's true. You know, if you wanted to get bigger and more cut, do more weight and more reps. There's just you just usually can't take a straight line to that. But and actually, you can if you decide to cheat. You know, so you can, you know, form is what we're talking about. And granted, that squatting form, I can't say was overall effective, but the guy got a benefit from it. I mean, even if it was just basic, you know, putting those pounds on his shoulders made his body adapt to those pounds on his shoulders. There was something that was happening there. And as long as he doesn't get hurt, he's going to make progress. I mean, you know, granted, it looked pretty silly, and I see people doing some silly things all the time anymore, and I just kind of keep my mouth shut, because I figure, well, you know, one, they're keeping it simple. Like, I have one of my friends does 1 rep. It's a huge prep. That does all the setup, does 1 rep, sets it down, walks away, and that's a pretty simple workout. And for him, he's in there, he's working out. You know, it's certainly better than nothing, I think. He's not hurting himself, and he's in an environment, you know, that's more healthy. He's actually in pretty good shape. So let's talk about these 8 ways. The first way, usually people say more weight. Okay, so increase or decrease the weight. That means if you're running, you can put weight on. You know, put a vest on, or you can run uphill. Decreasing is kind of hard. You can run downhill. I don't know how you can decrease weight running, but you know, with weights, of course, you can just add more poundage or take poundage off. The second way are repetitions per set. Okay, so if you're doing 3 sets of 10, do 3 sets of 12, and that's increased your intensity. That's increased the amount of work that you're doing. So weights and sets, or excuse me, weights and repetitions. The next one is sets. If you do 3 sets versus 5 sets versus 25 sets per exercise. So you're doing standing dumbbell curls, you do 3 sets of standing dumbbell curls and 3 sets of tricep pushdowns. If you do 5 sets, that's more work. You all agree on that, I'm sure. Exercises per body part. Now, I've always talked about body parts and the complexity of different movements and different muscle groups required for certain movements. You know, some exercises, some body parts, when you're doing the exercise, it involves a lot of different muscles. So quite often you have to do a large number of exercises for that. But you know, like curls is a pretty basic move, and so are triceps. You can do a couple of different exercises at given periods, but you know, when I see someone doing 5 sets of 10 reps each, and they're doing like 8 different exercises for their biceps, that's a little overdone. I mean, you can really simplify that. The biceps are a pretty easy muscle to work, and you get really quick results with it as well. I mean, most people do. Some don't, some are hard growers, so maybe they need the different exercises. But weight, reps, sets, exercise per body part, the number of the rest between sets. Okay, so if you're doing these sets, and if you're just going back and forth, like you do a set of curls and another set of curls, and you're not really resting, it's almost one set. Or you do a set of curls, a set of triceps, a set of curls, a set of triceps, and you're going back and forth. The rest between your sets of curls, while you're doing that tricep, that actually counts as rest time for your biceps. But if you decrease the rest time, so if you're working out at a certain pace and all of a sudden before a show I'd start working out faster, I cut down my rest time quite a bit. It increased the intensity. My heart rate never got a chance to slow down, so it was much more anaerobic than just a normal workout. So rest between exercises. That's 5 right there. We have weight, repetitions, sets per exercise, exercises per body part, rest between sets, rest between workouts. That's number 6. Rest between workouts basically is workout frequency. Do you want to give it a day, 2 days, 3 days? You want to work out your entire body once a week, twice a week? How long does it take you to work head to toe? For me, it's a 3-day process, and it's pretty simple. It's a real basic process, but it takes me 3 days to work head to toe. And that for me works out really well. Now, if I wanted to work out my entire body 3 times a week, see, right now at 3 days, I work out my entire body twice a week. And I usually take a day off. I do something physical, but I take a day off. I'd have to work out everything every 2 days. That way I could get, 3 body parts in a week. I do like to try and do legs on their own day, because legs are a big body part. With me, they were a sticking point early on, and I made them my favorite body part by just putting them in their own day. So rest, we have weight, repetitions, sets per body part, exercises per body part. Sets per exercise, exercises per body part, rest between sets, rest between workouts. Now, the last 2, these are the ones that I think bodybuilders really need to focus on. They sum up form. Okay, form. There are so many ways of doing an exercise. There's countless ways of doing an exercise. And the main thing is, when you're doing that exercise, you want to maximize the benefit of that exercise. If you're trying to grow muscle, which bodybuilders are trying to grow muscle, or someone who's not a bodybuilder, but they want to tone up a little bit. They're kind of a bodybuilder. They may not be trying to put on a whole ton of muscle, but they want that muscle to look right. I mean, it's part of sculpting. The last 2 things are range of motion, which the squat guy definitely didn't have a big range of motion, and tempo, or your cadence, the speed of your repetition. And I can tell you right now, the exercise that I usually use this to demonstrate when I was working out with other people was leg presses. And I was doing 1,200 pounds, well, 12 to 1,400 pounds, and I was doing sets of 20. And I do 10 sets of 20. That was my workout. It was a hard workout. My heart rate would get up to 205 beats, and I would take 5 minutes of rest. But typically I did the same workout every leg workout. Where I varied it was the range of motion and the speed of the repetition. To explain, every day you feel a little bit different when you're in the gym. There's some days when you feel extremely powerful, some days when you feel like crap. Okay. A lot of times, if you feel like crap and you start working out and taking it kind of nice and easy, pretty soon the blood gets flowing. You start feeling better. I've had some of my greatest workouts feeling like crap when I started, and then I just get into it. But depending on how you feel depends on how heavy that weight feels. And there were times when I would start off with my leg presses, and I would be doing about a 25 to 30% rep. Okay, and I'd get to about 7 or 8 repetitions, and it would start feeling easy. I would start bringing it down a little bit lower, and I would try and keep the same tempo. But then there were times when I was so strong, I felt so good. Rather than put a bunch more weight on there, I would just slow it down and get more work out of it. So range of motion and tempo are 2 key factors. If you want to be a bodybuilder, these are a couple of the things you probably need to take a look at. If you want to be a weightlifter in fitness and not so concerned with how many pounds you're lifting, but more with overall body fitness, I would say probably range of motion and tempo are critical factors. Now, we'll talk about this. I'll have some videos out showing you various types of form. People that comment on form, if you watched when I was working out, when I was bodybuilding, you watched what I was doing, you go, well, what does that work? Like the little 6-inch chest presses. There's a purpose for doing that. And a lot of people don't understand that. And they go, well, that's not very good form. Well, okay, and I'd go, well, it's working, it works for me. At any rate, that's it for today. Thanks for listening. And we'll be talking a little bit more about range of motion and tempo in the future.